The Nile is rising. Fields disappear underwater. Tools go idle. And tens of thousands of men have nothing to do for months. The pharaoh makes a choice before hunger turns to anger. He orders stone cut, hauled, and stacked. Now, because idle people are more dangerous than empty granaries, and history will demand a solution that works. Every summer in ancient Egypt, the Nile solved one problem and created another. The flood made the land fertile, yes, but it also shut the farms down completely. From July to October, the backbone of Egypt's economy stood idle, fed but restless, watching the water rise. The pharaoh ruled by divine authority, but even a god-king could not ignore a massive, unemployed population. So power moved first. Taxes collected after harvest were released as rations. Men were sent to quarries, ramps, and stone yards. Villages appeared, with bakeries, breweries, doctors. What rose from the floodplain was not just a tomb, but a system. Because Egypt would learn, early and decisively, that survival belongs to rulers who understand pragmatism. If this is the kind of history you want more of, you can subscribe, like this video, and let's continue. The Nile spills over its banks. Farmers step back from drowning fields. Water spreads across black soil. Hoes are stacked, oxen untied and led uphill. Across Upper and Lower Egypt, work stops at once. This is not a surprise. It happens every year. But this year, the numbers are larger. More mouths, more hands, more men without tasks. The flood brings promise later. For now, it brings stillness. Granaries remain sealed. Tax ledgers are closed. Villages wait. In the capital, scribes tally harvest taxes already collected. They know the risk. An idle workforce eats but does not produce. Weeks turn into months. Restlessness grows faster than grain. The pharaoh does not ride out to see it. Reports come instead. Counted, sealed, delivered. How many men? How many days? How many rations required to keep order? The decision cannot wait until the water recedes. Delay would cost control, so orders move before anger does. Quarry foremen are summoned. Stone routes are marked. Ration schedules reopened and revised. Bread will be issued daily, being measured carefully. Medical tents assigned near the work camps. Men are told where to go and when to arrive. Not to the fields, but to the plateau. Not to plant, but to haul. Stone scrape stone. Feet press into wet ground. Lines form where crowds might have. By the time the flood reaches its peak, labor is already moving. Not by force, by necessity. The people are occupied. The granaries empty on purpose. The state spends to stay standing. And with that choice, Egypt commits itself, not to a monument yet, but to a method. Solve unrest before it starts, even if a solution must be built block by block. Scribes reopen the granaries. Ration jars are stamped and sealed. Bread loaves counted by hand. Beer poured into marked vessels. Nothing is symbolic here. Everything is measured. The state does not guess, it calculates. How many men per crew? How many days per block? How much grain disappears if order holds? Officials walk the work sites before dawn. They do not speak of eternity, they speak of schedules. Temporary villages are laid out near the stone yards. Huts rise quickly. Bakeries are built first. Breweries second. A medical tent last, because injured men stop work faster than angry ones. This is the quiet gamble. Feed the people now, or face them later. The workers arrive in waves. Not chained, not dragged, called forward by lists and obligations. Each man knows the exchange. Labor for rations. Presence for protection. Participation for favor with the gods. Foremen keep records on papyrus. Absences are noted. Injuries treated. Deaths recorded without ceremony. Stone dust coats skin and lungs. Ramps lengthen. Haul lines tighten. What could have become idle crowds becomes motion instead. The noise of work replaces the noise of complaint. Some elders mutter that this is waste. Why build upward whilst fields lie underwater? Why spend what has already been collected? The answer is not spoken aloud, because spending now prevents loss later. By the second month of flooding, unrest has not appeared. No gatherings, no theft from storage, no songs of hunger. The state has learned something essential. Control is cheaper when paid for in advance. And once the machinery of labor is running, it cannot simply be stopped, because stopping it would mean choosing disorder again. Foremen redirect hauling lines. The first foundation blocks are set. This is the moment the work changes meaning. What began as occupation becomes construction. Temporary effort hardens into policy. Surveyors mark angles with rope and stakes. Mistakes are corrected immediately. Stone is too costly to place twice. The pharaoh's seal appears on new orders. The project is no longer seasonal improvisation. It is now endorsed, protected, and expanded. More crews are assigned than originally planned. Not because stone demands it, but because people do. Idle hands still exist beyond the camps. Villages not yet enrolled watch closely. Inclusion becomes leverage. Rations are adjusted upward for skilled labor. Stone cutters receive more beer than haulers. Merit is measured in output. This hierarchy matters. It creates competition without revolt, aspiration without weapons. Priests begin visiting the site. They offer blessings for safety and endurance. They remind workers whose tomb this will be. Divinity is folded into the routine, not shouted, but reinforced through repetition. Dust hangs in the air. Stone chips fall. Ramps stretch farther each week. The work now has direction, not just motion. Scribes notice something unexpected. Grain is moving out of storage faster, but theft has declined. Money is not pooling upward. It is circulating downward, then outward again. The pyramid has not risen far, yet its function is already clear. This is not a monument commanding labor. It is labor creating a monument. And once stone becomes policy, the state cannot admit it was ever optional. Because the moment work stops, the question returns. What do the people do next? Medical tents are erected. Injured men are carried off the ramps. This is not charity, it is calculation. Broken workers slow crews. Slow crews weaken control. Physicians set bones. Salves are applied. Men return to work or are reassigned. Permanent bakeries replace temporary ovens. Breweries expand output. Supply lines stabilize. What was meant to last a season begins to settle in place. Families start to appear at the edges of the camps. Not invited, not forbidden. Children carry water. Women trade bread for cloth. Markets form without permission. Officials notice and allow it. The camps are no longer just work sites. They are functioning communities. This changes the balance. A man with food, care, and proximity to power is less likely to resist it. A village tied to rations is tied to the state. Records grow thicker. Names are reused year after year. Experience is rewarded with steadier assignments. The pyramid rises slowly, but the system rises faster. Priests formalize rituals at the site. Attendance is encouraged, not enforced. Faith becomes another wage. Stone dust fills the air. Voices shout rhythmically. Order replaces uncertainty. Outside the camps, fewer men remain idle. Inside them, fewer men wish to leave. The flood season ends. Fields begin to re-emerge. A choice approaches. The state could release the workers back to their farms, or it could keep the structure intact. Officials review the numbers. Productivity has increased. Unrest has not. The decision is quiet but decisive. The work will continue. Not because the pyramid demands it, but because the system now does. What began as a solution to idleness has become a model the state is unwilling to abandon. Fields re-emerge as floodwater drains. Farmers wait for release orders. They do not come. Instead, work rosters are revised. Some crews are dismissed. Most are kept. The decision is not ceremonial. It is logistical. The harvest will be good. Taxes will refill the granaries. But dismantling the camps would scatter a system that now functions. Officials calculate what stopping would mean. Idle men again. Grain stored but unused. Skills lost between seasons. So the balance shifts. Work becomes rotational. Some men return to fields. Others remain on stone. The pyramid dictates nothing. The calendar does. This is new. Labor is no longer tied only to flooding. It is tied to management. Foremen gain authority beyond the season. Scribes track men across years, not months. Experience outweighs lineage. Stone rises faster now. Ramps grow wider. Mistakes decrease. But costs are pay. Villages near the site grow dependent on rations. Farm yields suffer where labor is thin. Complaints arrive with the tax reports. The state listens and adjusts again. Ration levels are trimmed. Rotations tightened. No side is allowed to weaken completely. This is the fracture point. Not rebellion, not collapse, trade-offs. Egypt learns that large systems demand constant correction. Leave them untouched, and they harden. Change them too quickly, and they break. The pharaoh approves continued construction, not for glory, for stability. The pyramid now binds harvest, labor, faith, and order together. Unravel one thread, and the rest pull loose. By choosing not to stop, the state accepts a permanent burden. From this moment forward, Egypt is no longer managing a project. It is managing its own solution. And paying the cost every season, it chooses control over simplicity. New crews arrive as old ones rotate out. The system no longer depends on memory. It depends on procedure. Orders are copied instead of debated. Ration tables reused. Work assignments standardized. What began as responses become habit. The pyramid rises steadily, but attention shifts elsewhere. Officials begin planning the next works. Quietly. Not higher, not larger. Simply additional. Temples need stone. Causeways need repair. Obelisks are discussed in margins of reports. The logic is familiar now. Keep people working. Keep grain moving. Keep pressure diffused. This is the moment power changes character. The pharaoh does not announce a new doctrine. No decree explains the system. It spreads because it works. Local administrators request projects of their own. Not for prestige, for control. A temple here, a wall there. Enough labor to absorb surplus hands. Stone dust hangs over more sites than before. Footsteps echo in multiple directions. The sound of work becomes national. But repetition has consequences. Skilled workers gain leverage. They are harder to replace. They are quietly protected. Inefficiency is tolerated if it maintains order. Waste is accepted if unrest is avoided. The state learns an uncomfortable truth. Perfect balance is impossible. Stability is cheaper than optimization. Records show something else as well. Rebellions do not disappear. They fail to form. No moment of ignition. No gathering point. The work absorbs it. By the time the pyramid nears completion, its economic purpose is already transferable. Stone is no longer special. Labor is. Egypt has discovered a tool more durable than monuments. A repeatable method of spending power to prevent its own challenge. And once power learns how to repeat itself, it rarely chooses to forget. Stone is set in its final courses. Foremen begin reassignment lists. The pyramid is almost finished. The system is not. This is the dangerous moment. Completion threatens purpose. For years, labor has flowed toward one goal. One site, one structure absorbing pressure. Now that pressure has nowhere obvious to go. Officials meet quietly, not to celebrate, but to prevent reversal. If workers are released all at once, idle months will return. Expectations will collide with reality. The state would have to relearn control the hard way. So the solution is preemptive. Crews are redirected before the last stones settle. Some move to temple expansions, others to obelisks already surveyed. No pause, no gap. The transition is deliberate, smooth enough that most workers barely register it. Rations continue uninterrupted. Schedules remain familiar. Only the skyline changes. This is the proof of concept. The monument no longer matters. Continuity does. Scribes revise language in their records. Projects are no longer described as exceptional. They are listed as necessary. The people adapt quickly. They always have. What was once explained as service to a god-king is now understood as seasonal reality. Work arrives when water does not. Outside observers might still see glory in stone. Inside the system, stone is just the excuse. The state has avoided a reckoning, but at a cost. Public works are no longer optional. They are expected. Egypt has crossed a line. It can no longer stop building without risking the very unrest it learned to suppress. As the pyramid stands complete against the sky, its most important function has already moved on into the habits of power itself. Work begins at a new site before celebration reaches the old one. Stone is measured. Lines are drawn. Rations are issued on familiar schedules. Nothing pauses. The pyramid stands finished, sealed, and guarded. It no longer absorbs labor. The system simply reroutes it. Officials watch closely during the first flood season after completion. They expect instability. It does not come. Men report as instructed. Granaries empty on purpose. Projects advance without resistance. This is the final confirmation. Egypt does not dismantle the machine it built. It refines it. Public works are spaced across regions now. Enough to absorb surplus labor, not enough to strain storage. The calendar becomes the true ruler. When water rises, work rises with it. When fields return, labor narrows, but never disappears. The pharaoh gains something quieter than all: predictability. No speeches announce this shift. No doctrine records it. It survives because it is useful. Power no longer waits for crisis to act. It budgets for prevention. Grain flows out as wages instead of spoils. Labor circulates instead of gathering. Wealth moves, not pools. This is not generosity. It is restraint. Egypt learns that stability is built, not inherited, and that the cheapest unrest is the one that never forms. When pyramid building fades, nothing collapses. Temples rise. Obelisks follow. Roads, walls, and causeways appear where crowds once might have. The monuments change. The method does not. History often remembers the stone. It misses the choice. Because the lasting achievement was not the pyramid itself, but the decision to spend power early, visibly, and continuously, to trade surplus for order and ambition for endurance. That is what Egypt kept, not a monument to ego, but a system shaped by pragmatism, proven not by theory, but by the simple fact that it worked. And there you have it. History is full of these incredible moments, and we're just getting started. If you want to experience more epic journeys through time, subscribe to Dramatic History Journeys and hit that like button. See you in the comment section.